and welcome back to Meet the Authors. We're here with our first guest of the evening, and it is T K Thorne. So, TK, hello.
Hello, it's so nice to be here with you.
I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm very excited to have you. You have some wonderful books. I was reading through them, and just you come alive. Your words are just so well written, and the scenes and the action. Tell us, see, this is your newest book. I'll let you hold it.
House of Rose.
And tell us about it.
Well, this book draws on my experiences many years ago as a police detective.
As a police detective, you're
Yes.
a police detective in Birmingham, right?
I was.
How long were you a police detective?
Oh, a little over 21 years.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes, it was a career. And you know, I never was that much interested in mysteries, murder mysteries, because it wasn't entertainment to me. It felt like work.
That's great.
So it took many years to kind of work my way back around to doing it. And this book is about murder, mayhem, and magic.
Wow, murder, mayhem, and magic.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 M's. What a
The
great
3
slogan, 3 M's. And tell us what it's like. Tell us about the book.
Well, all that happens when a police detective named Rose chases a suspect down an alley, and she, for the first time in her life, she has a vision of the future, a few minutes into the future.
A premonition.
A premonition, and she sees the suspect she's chasing shoot her partner.
Oh my.
In the vision. And so she has just a split second when things snap back to reality to decide what to do. And she shoots him in the back, which is every police officer's nightmare.
Yeah.
And so she has to deal with that, and on top of that, trying to figure out what is going on with this magical, or this vision thing.
So she just had this one brief premonition view, and that sets her up to realize that she has some type of special power. So she's obviously an adult at this time, and she's never had any inkling she had any magical issues before that.
Nope. She finds out she is a witch of an ancient house, and the powers.
I like that. You say, "Mom, do you have any secrets you haven't told me
Yeah,
yet?"
exactly.
About the family? Yes, go on. I'm sorry.
But people of those houses, there's 3 of them, don't come into their powers until late in their 20s at least. So that's why she's never had a vision before.
So she has these special abilities, and she's a police detective, and she's able to see in the future, but she's also, you mentioned to me earlier, able to see in the past. And it helps her solve some of the cases, huh?
Yes.
How exciting.
It's very handy.
Yeah. I mean, it's more handy to see in the future if you're like an investment banker maybe, but police
Right.
detective, get those past things up. And how long did it take you to write this book?
About a year.
It is a year?
Yeah.
That's good.
It went very fast compared to the other books that I've written. I think it was because I just decided to write this for myself, just for fun.
That's always the best way to write, right?
Yeah.
Things that you love. I've started many a book and started to say, I don't think I'm enjoying this, I'll just put it aside. But the good ones, they just roll off your
Exactly,
computer.
and that's what happened, and I had so much fun writing it that this is actually the first book of a trilogy. So there'll be 2
trilogy.
more.
Do you have the others outlined already? And
I already have the drafts, but don't tell my publisher.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We'll keep that secret. All right, that's great. So let's see what else you have here. You brought in 4 of your books.
Well, this is my first book, Noah's Wife, and I wrote this because I realized that Noah's wife in Genesis, in the Bible, had no name, was given to her, and she only got 1 line.
That was it,
That was
huh?
it.
Huh.
And I said, no, she has, like you mentioned in reading from your book, there's a whole story and a whole life that we know nothing about. And so I wrote that. And
You created it based on what we do know from the biblical history, historic fiction.
yes, this is based on about 4 years of research into the scientific, what we know from scientific discoveries about the flood. And we know almost, within a very short time period when it happened.
Okay.
In Turkey, in the Black Sea. And we know from a couple of geologists that did core samplings of the Black Sea that it happened in about 5500 BCE. And so that was where I set my book, and that started research about the culture and what archaeologists they can tell you now what people ate for dinner thousands of years ago.
And so you put that into a book and make it come alive. I love that aspect of historic fiction. This won an award. Tell me about this Book of the Year award winner.
This is from Ford Reviews.
Okay.
It is the Book of the Year for historical fiction.
Very nice. And you have another one. The next book is also
right. And
historic fiction.
I didn't really set out to write books about biblical stories, but I was getting in the car with a co-worker who was kind of snarky, and he turned to me after Noah's wife came out and won the award. He said, "Noah's wife, huh?" Like that. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What's next? Lot's wife?"
Huh. You said, "What a great idea."
This is the story of Lot's wife.
Yeah.
It's called Angels at the Gate.
Now, she was the one who was turned to a pillar of salt, right?
Yes, she was.
See, I know my Bible.
So this one also took several years to write, and I went to Turkey and Israel.
Oh, you actually went on site?
Oh, yeah, for both of these.
Wow.
At different times.
I like doing that because then the whole trip's tax deductible.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a book about Africa and the whole trip's.
You got it figured out.
Yeah. So all the more reason for you people to write books there.
So that was about as far away from, murder, mayhem, and magic as you can get.
Yeah.
But what kind of started me back in the circle was this book, which is nonfiction. It's Last Chance for Justice, and it's the story of the investigation of the 1963 Birmingham church bombing that killed the 4 little girls.
Yeah.
And because I was a police officer
in Birmingham.
I was officer in Birmingham, and a friend of mine became one of the primary investigators on the third investigation of the case. And so I got firsthand information about that I would never have gotten otherwise. And so it was written from the perspective of the investigators, FBI agent and a Birmingham police detective.
And they eventually did find the people who they put them in jail. They convicted them.
This includes the trials as well.
That's wonderful. You have some wonderful books, just really exciting. So you started writing, it looks like, after you finished your detective career, is that right?
Yes.
So when was that?
That was in 1999.
So you've been writing now for almost 20 years. That's pretty good. You have 4 books. Those are 4 books. And what else do you write besides these books?
Oh, I've written, I have a science fiction book that I'm working on now.
Nice, yeah.
And I started with a book about being in the police department, but I put that in the drawer until a few people die.
That's probably a good plan.
And then we can maybe pull it out. But the next thing I wrote was a historical fantasy about the ancestors of King Arthur.
Oh, I like that.
And I wrote a trilogy, and that may come back.
You may get that published.
It may come back out, yeah.
It's fun to have all these different things out. And we asked earlier, 4 different publishers. Each of your books from a different publisher. How did you go? And you're in your 3rd agent. Tell us about your career as a writer. This is people out there thinking of becoming a writer are always very interested in hearing these kind of personal stories.
Oh, well, I actually got an agent with the book that's in the drawer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did have an agent, and she had just started sending it out, and then she went to another agency, and this is a very common story among agents, and didn't take me with her, or couldn't. So I didn't get another agent until this book. I found an agent for this book.
And this one won an IP award, a big silver medal thing, and a gold medal from Ben Franklin. That's amazing. Books, awards are so marvelous. They really get the author, the readers to recognize that this is a high quality book. So tell us about that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but just want to mention that you really have a distinguished success with your books.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So tell us about that was your 2nd agent, and they were able to place this book.
She was working on placing this book and I had been working on this one.
Yeah.
And I realized that the 50th anniversary of the bombing was coming up, and I was
2013.
like, oh my goodness. And so I asked her if she thought this had a chance, and she read it and sold it pretty quickly.
That's wonderful. All right, well, we have just a few seconds left. Tell the readers, the audience, where they can get your books.
Well, probably, you could go to your bookstore, your favorite bookstore. I like to support bookstores, and ask for them if they don't have them in stock. But they also are all available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or Kobo Books.
To your website.
Yeah, oh, and you could go to my website, which is TK Thorne with an E.com, and you can
buy them right
click
offline.
on the links.
That's great. It's so great having you on the show. Thank you, TK.
Thank you very much.
You're a delightful person and a great writer, and just fantastic books.
We undid tyranny. We undid callousness and hopelessness. We undid evil and evil's evil twin. We've come a long way. We undid impossible and impossibly impossible.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
We undid indignity and carelessness. Just look at all we've undone. Certainly, we can undo overwhelming. It's time to undo climate change. Undo your part. There's a simple, bipartisan solution to climate change Congress needs to hear about. Go to undoyourpart.com.